Hi, I am Julie Thorley, and this is my Coretta Scott King Award book that I read, and it is called The Crossover by Kwame Alexander. It was published in 2015. That's when it won the award, and it was published in 2014. And the cover design was by Lisa Vega. It was the only real picture in the book. Um, the publisher was Hutton Mifflin Harcourt, and it had 240 pages, but they were really kind of short pages. It was a really fast read, I thought. I wasn't sure what it was going to look like when I downloaded it. It's an ebook. I get them off of Kindle. The age target would be 9 to 12th grade because it's based on middle school events. So what the story is basically about are two twin African American boys whose father used to play professional basketball, and he's kind of their coach through life. He gives them a lot of guidance, and the two boys are kind of finding that they're different, even though they both love basketball. They're both on the basketball team, and they're equally starring for the basketball team, only they play different roles. One's a center, one's a forward. They just have different roles on the team, but they're both stars. One can dunk, one can't dunk. One has long dreadlocks, the other has a shaved head. One's really involved in church because he's interested in girls and he sees a really pretty girl at church. And so their father and mother, their mother is their middle school vice principal, and so she rides them pretty heavily for school and their performance at school, while their dad stresses the importance of their game and being a team player, and he coaches them through that. Their conflicts that they have, a lot of it is set at their home, on the court, and at school, so that would be the main setting. They live in North Carolina. One's a baby blue fan for North Carolina, the Tar Heels, and one's a Duke fan. And so they differ there. His brother becomes interested in a new girl who wears pink Reeboks, and her name is her name escapes me. I'm gonna have to look up my cheat sheet here. Alexis. That's right. He talks about her a lot as just the girl in the pink Reeboks. So you don't really learn her name until closer to the end. And even though her character does play an important role in the book, it's more of a conflict for Josh, who is one of the twins. JB's the one that's interested in girls, so Josh is the one with the long dreadlocks, and he is the narrator. The book is entirely in Josh's point of view and his perspective on what is going on in his life. And so Josh is the Duke fan, and Alexis becomes kind of the antagonist, where she's kind of drawing JB away from their friendship. He feels like Alexis, now that they're becoming boyfriend and girlfriend, and Josh is finding himself alone most of the time. Where he used to play ball at home with his brother, he doesn't anymore because she's always around, she's always calling, so their relationship becomes kind of strained. And Josh, he's interested in girls, but he's more interested in his game performance on the basketball court. He wants to be the star, he wants to be the one. He's on the honor roll, so he's super smart. But when he is late one night because their dad got pulled over, he knocks his brother being greedy with the ball in the face, and their relationship gets sour. So they get in a big fight and they don't talk to each other for the most of the remainder of the book until the very end. So their father has health problems, and he finds himself ignoring his wife's request for him to go get checked out, even though his father died young in his 40s of hypertension. And his father's showing all the signs of early hypertension and heart problems. He refuses to go to the doctor, and one night he has a heart attack and finds himself in the hospital. And so the boys kind of end up bonding over that experience. And so they mend their relationship, but their father ends up dying. And so Josh finds that Alexis really isn't so bad. And so he decides that in order for his relationship to work, he has to make amends with Alexis, become friends with her, comfort their mother, and he does end up winning the points for the final basketball game, and they take the championship. And it was a really good book. I didn't think I'd like it. Now, the one interesting thing about this book is it's all done in verse. So it's a rhythmic, rhyming book. The entire book is done in verse. So that was very unique. I had never read a book that was like that. And at first, when I started reading it and how the words are designed on the page, they're almost the illustrations of the book. So the book is illustrated with words, which was very unusual. Kwame Alexander is the author, and he was, I was really impressed with how creative the verse was. And so Josh is kind of like a rapper, he's interested. He's a young African-American boy. He likes rhythm. His dad was influenced him with jazz. And so that was very important. Music was an important part of the book for him. That was something that seemed to just flow from his body. He just rhymed things, and he kind of had like a real cocky attitude at times, but it was really interesting. I thought the book was well written, and I think kids would be really interested in the book. It's like a rhythm, if you read it like you're listening to a song, you could kind of catch a rhythm reading it, and I think that kids would really enjoy that in the verse and how it was laid out. Any boy who loves sports or loves basketball could relate to this book. Girls, I don't know if there are a ton of girls out there that would be initially drawn to the book, but I think once they started reading it, they would enjoy it. So for me, a personal tie-in for this book was my father was a professor and his mother was a vice principal. And so I could understand that conflict a little bit with the education. My father always taught us how important education was, and how you should never quit on that. And so his mom, even though sports were really important to him, he knew how important school was too. And so he was able to pull that together. I know that we're not supposed to read anything from this book, but I urge you to read it because basketball rule number 3 was really cool. I really liked it, and I wish I could read it to you because I have it on this paper, but I read the syllabus and it said not to. So the graphic organizer, I think what that would be good for this program is take a sport or maybe something that they're interested in. It could be anything, any special hobby that they have, maybe even a struggle, something that they feel strongly about, and put it into rhythmic verse. Make like a rhyme, but have it have rhythm. And, maybe they could be a little creative with the words, not maybe too creative, so you can't understand the flow of the rhythm or the verse, but maybe like 2 pages, 100 words, because I think middle school children are perfectly capable of doing 100-word essay project like that. But I think that would be fun for them, something that they could just get creative and make a little, kind of like a song, I guess, but more of like a written poetry session or something. So anyway, so that was my Coretta Scott King Award. I think I mentioned it was won in 2015, but the book was written in 2014, 240 pages. Oh, the genre, it's going to be fiction. And I also put poetry down there because it's got a lot of verse in it. Not everything rhymes, but it does rhyme quite a bit. So I also put poetry in there. I guess it could classify as poetry. Anyway, thank you.